Una Park was sleeping in her small quarters aboard Horizon's edge when the red lights started flashing. She sat up quickly, her heart beating fast. In her 3 years on this station, she had never seen the emergency lights turn on. She dressed quickly and ran to the main communication center. Other diplomats were already there, standing in front of the massive display screen. Their faces showed fear and confusion. Una pushed through the crowd until she could see what everyone was watching. The screen showed a debris field floating in space. Thousands of broken pieces of metal and glass spread across the darkness like scattered bones. A text appeared at the bottom of the screen. Velic colony ship. Harmony's children. Destroyed. 40,000 casualties confirmed. Una felt her stomach drop. 40,000 lives. Gone in an instant. The Velic were one of the oldest species in the Coalition. They looked like giant insects with hard shells and multiple arms. They had been traveling through space for over 10,000 years. They were proud, ancient, and they did not forgive easily. A new message appeared on the screen. It was from the Velic Dominion, and it was addressed to the entire galaxy. The Shorn Empire has committed an act of war. They have murdered our children. We will have justice, or we will have blood. The room went silent. Una looked around at the other diplomats. She saw fear in every face. The Velic and the Shorn had hated each other for thousands of years. Their old war had killed billions. Everyone thought that war was finished forever. Everyone was wrong. Within the hour, more messages came. The Shorn Empire denied everything. They said they had no ships in that area of space. They said the Velic were lying. They said if the Velic wanted war, they would get war. Una watched as the galaxy began to tear itself apart. Other species started choosing sides. The Velic had many allies who remembered the old war and blamed the Shorn for starting it. The Shorn had their own allies who believed the Velic had always been the true aggressors. Messages of support and threats flew across space like weapons. Director Tai-Ho Lim found Una standing alone near a window, watching the stars. Tai-Ho was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a diplomat for 30 years, and he had never looked so worried. "Pack your things," he said. "We are leaving." Una turned to face him. "Leaving? We cannot leave. The Coalition needs every diplomat working to stop this war." Tai-Ho shook his head slowly. "Una, humanity has been part of the galaxy for only 200 years. These species have been fighting each other for longer than humans have existed. This is not our war. If the Coalition breaks apart, it becomes everyone's war," Una said. "Maybe, but we cannot stop it. We are too young, too weak, too small. The elder species do not listen to us. They never have." Tai-Ho put his hand on her shoulder. "I know you want to help, but sometimes the best thing to do is survive. Go pack your things. The evacuation shuttle leaves in 6 hours." He walked away, leaving Una alone with her thoughts. She did not go pack her things. Instead, she went back to the communication center and found an empty workstation. The footage of the destroyed colony ship was playing on repeat. Analysts from a dozen species were studying it, looking for proof of Shorn guilt. Una watched the footage again and again. Something about it bothered her, but she could not understand what. The ship had been torn apart by some kind of energy weapon. The Velic analysts said the energy signature matched Shorn weapons. The Shorn said the Velic were faking the evidence. On the 20th time watching the footage, Una finally saw it. The attack had come from below the ship. The blast had hit the bottom of the hull first, then spread upward. It was a small detail, easy to miss. But Una's eyes caught it because human eyes were different. Humans had evolved on a dangerous world. For millions of years, they had been both hunters and prey. Their eyes had learned to track movement, to notice small changes, to spot danger hiding in shadows. This ability had helped humans survive lions and wolves. Now it helped Yuna see something the alien analysts had missed. The debris was not spreading the way it should. If a Shorn warship had attacked from below, the debris should be spreading upward and outward. But the debris was spreading in a spiral pattern, slowly spinning away from a central point. That was wrong. That meant the weapon had not been fired from a ship at all. The weapon had been fired from a fixed position. Something stationary. Something hidden. Yuna ran back to Director Taiho's office and burst through the door without knocking. "I found something," she said, breathing hard. "The attack trajectory is wrong. The Shorn did not do this." Taiho looked up from his computer. His face showed annoyance, then curiosity. "What do you mean?" Yuna explained what she had seen. The debris pattern, the spiral spread, the fixed attack position. Taiho listened carefully, his frown deepening with every word. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "Even if you are right, it does not matter. The Valak have already decided the Shorn are guilty. They will not listen to a human diplomat with a theory about debris patterns." "Then I will find proof," Yuna said. "I need a shuttle. I need to go to the debris field myself." "Absolutely not." Taiho stood up, his voice sharp. "That area is controlled by Velic patrol ships. They are shooting at anything that moves. You would die before you got close. I am a coalition diplomat. I have the right to observe any investigation. It is in the treaty. The treaty is about to become worthless paper. In 6 hours, maybe less, the shooting will start. I will not let you throw your life away for nothing. I will not let you throw your life away for nothing." Yuna met his eyes. "Director, if there is even a small chance that I can stop this war, I have to try. 40,000 people are already dead. How many more will die if the Velic and Shorn start fighting? Millions? Billions?" Taiho was silent. Humanity did not join the coalition to hide when things got difficult. Yuna continued. "We joined because we wanted to be part of something bigger. We wanted to help. Let me help." The old diplomat sat back down. He rubbed his eyes with his hands. When he looked at Yuna again, she saw something new in his face. Not anger, not fear. Something like respect. "I cannot officially approve this mission," he said slowly. "If you take a shuttle without authorization, I will have to report you. Your diplomatic career will be over. You may face prison time when you return to Earth. I understand. But if you happen to find a shuttle in Docking Bay 7 with its security systems accidentally disabled, and if you happen to leave in the next 10 minutes before anyone noticed," he looked away from her, "I would not be able to stop you." Yuna smiled for the first time that night. "Thank you, Director." "Do not thank me. I am probably sending you to your death." He paused. "There is a military officer named Do Wang Kang. He's a good pilot and a good soldier. If anyone can keep you alive out there, it is him. You will find him in the officers' lounge." Yuna nodded and turned to leave. "Yuna," Taiho's voice stopped her at the door. "I hope you are right about this. I hope you find something that can stop the war. But if you do not, if things go wrong out there, do not let them take you alive. The Velic do not treat prisoners kindly." Yuna felt a chill run down her spine, but she did not let her fear show on her face. "I will find the truth," she said. "Whatever it takes." She walked out of the office and headed for the officers' lounge. Behind her, Director Taiho Lim watched her go. He wondered if he would ever see her again. He wondered if he had just sent a young woman to die for a cause that was already lost. But deep in his heart, a small spark of hope remained. Humans were young and weak and small, just as he had said, but they were also stubborn. They did not know when to quit. They did not accept that some problems had no solutions. Maybe, just maybe, that stubbornness would be enough. The galaxy was counting down a war, and one human had decided to stand in its path. Sergeant Do Wan Kang was drinking coffee alone in the officer's lounge when Yuna found him. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. His military uniform was clean and pressed, but his eyes showed the tiredness of someone who had not slept in many hours. He looked up when Yuna approached his table. His expression did not change. "You are the diplomat," he said. It was not a question. "Director Lim told me you might come." Yuna sat down across from him without asking permission. "Then you know what I need. You need someone to fly you into a war zone controlled by angry aliens who are looking for any excuse to shoot something." Dao Huan took a slow sip of his coffee. "You must be either very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both," Yuna admitted. "Will you help me?" Dao Huan studied her face for a long moment. Yuna did not look away. She knew that soldiers respected strength, and she needed this man to believe in her. Finally, Dao Huan stood up. "The shuttle in Docking Bay 7 has enough fuel for a round trip. We should leave now, before someone fixes those security systems that mysteriously stopped working." They moved quickly through the station's corridors. Most people were too busy watching the news or packing for evacuation to notice two humans walking toward the docking base. That was good. The less attention they attracted, the better. The shuttle was small but fast. Do-Wan ran through the startup procedures, while Yuna strapped herself into the co-pilot seat. Within minutes, they were flying away from Horizon's edge, heading toward the debris field. The journey would take 4 hours. Yuna used the time to study the footage again, looking for more details she might have missed. Do-Wan was quiet for most of the trip, focusing on piloting the shuttle and watching for hostile ships dot. After 2 hours of silence, he finally spoke. "Why do you care so much?" Yuna looked up from her screen. "What do you mean?" "This war. These alien species. Why does it matter to you? Humanity could survive without the coalition. We have our own worlds, our own ships, our own future. Let the elder species destroy each other. It is not our problem." Yuna thought about her answer carefully. "When I was a child, I read about the old wars on Earth, the world wars, the nuclear standoffs, the times when humans almost destroyed themselves. Do you know what saved us? What? Someone always stood up. Someone always said, 'No, this is wrong. This has to stop.' Sometimes it was a leader. Sometimes it was an ordinary person. But someone always chose to try, even when trying seemed hopeless." She turned back to her screen. "If I can be that person today, I have to try, even if I fail." Do-Wan nodded slowly. He did not agree or disagree. But Yuna noticed that he flew the shuttle a little faster after that. They reached the debris field 3 hours later. The sight was worse than the footage had shown. Pieces of the colony ship floated everywhere, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Some pieces were tiny, no bigger than a fist. Others were massive sections of hull, large enough to see with the naked eye. And among the debris, there were bodies. Thousands of bodies, frozen in the cold of space, their faces locked in expressions of fear and surprise. Yuna felt sick. She had seen death before, but nothing like this. Nothing on this scale. "Focus," Do-Wan said quietly. "The dead cannot be helped, but maybe we can help the living." He was right. Yuna pushed down her horror and activated the shuttle scanning systems. Before they could begin their investigation, a Velic patrol ship appeared on their sensors. It was much larger than their shuttle, armed with weapons that could destroy them in seconds. A voice crackled through their communication system. Speaking in the harsh clicking language of the Velic, Yuna activated the translator. The alien voice became words she could understand. Unknown vessel, you have entered Velic-controlled space. Identify yourself immediately or you will be destroyed. This is Ambassador Yuna Park of the Human Diplomatic Corps, Yuna replied, keeping her voice calm. I am here to exercise my right under Coalition Treaty Article 17 to observe the investigation of this incident. There was a pause. Yuna could imagine the Velic commander checking the treaty, looking for a way to deny her request. But the treaty was clear. Any coalition member had the right to observe any investigation that might affect the entire coalition. You are human, the Velic voice said finally. There was contempt in the tone. What could a human possibly find that our investigators have missed? Your species was living in mud huts when my ancestors were building empires among the stars. Then you have nothing to worry about, Yuna said. If your investigation is complete, I will simply confirm your findings. All I ask is the chance to look. Another pause. Yuna held her breath. Very well, human. You may observe, but you will not touch anything. You will not interfere. And if you try to destroy evidence or help the Shorn in any way, I will personally tear you apart with my claws. Do you understand? I understand. Thank you, Commander. The communication ended. Do Juan let out a breath he'd been holding. That went better than I expected, he said. I thought they would just shoot us. They still might, Yuna replied. Let us work quickly. For the next 2 hours, Yuna scanned the debris field while Do-Hwan kept the shuttle steady. She was looking for the source of the attack, the fixed position she had identified from the footage. If she could find it, she might find evidence of who really destroyed the colony ship. The Velic watched her every move. Their patrol ship followed the shuttle like a shadow, weapons always pointed in their direction. Yuna tried to ignore them and focus on her work. Finally, she found what she was looking for. The energy signature of the weapon that destroyed the ship was strongest in one specific area of space. There was nothing there now, nothing visible. But the residual energy told a story. Do-Hwan, can you get us closer to these coordinates? Yuna pointed at her screen. The sergeant frowned. That is outside the debris field. The Velic might not let us leave the designated area. We have to try. The answer is out there. Do-Hwan nodded and changed course. Immediately, the Velic patrol ship moved to block them. Human vessel, you are leaving the investigation area. Return to your previous position. Commander, I have found something, Yuna said. There is an energy signature that does not match Shorn weapons. It is coming from outside the debris field. I request permission to investigate. Your request is denied. The energy signatures have already been analyzed. They match Shorn weapons within acceptable parameters. Within acceptable parameters, Yuna repeated. But not exactly. Commander, does that not concern you? If the Shorn truly did this, why do the signatures not match exactly? Because weapons can be modified. Because readings can be imperfect. Because the Velic commander stopped. Why am I explaining myself to a human? Return to your position or be destroyed. Yuna's mind raced. She needed the Velic to listen. She needed to make them doubt, even a little. Commander, I understand your pain. 40,000 of your people died here. You want justice. You want revenge. Those feelings are natural. She paused. But what if you are wrong? What if you go to war with the Shorn and later discover they were innocent? What will you tell the families of the soldiers who died fighting the wrong enemy? Silence from the Velic ship. All I am asking for is 1 hour, Yuna continued. 1 hour to investigate that energy signature. If I find nothing, I will leave and never bother you again. But if I find something, would you not want to know the truth before you start a war? The silence stretched on. Yuna waited, her heart pounding. Finally, the Velic commander spoke again. You have 30 minutes, human. Not 1 second more. And I will be watching every move you make. Thank you, Commander. That is all I need. Dowan flew the shuttle toward the energy signature. As they moved away from the debris field, Yuna's scanners picked up something strange. There was a faint trail of particles in space. Most scanners would miss it, but human technology was different. Humans had learned to look for tiny details because their survival on Earth had depended on it. They had developed sensors that could find a needle in a haystack. The particle trail led away from the attack site, deeper into unexplored space. And the composition of those particles was unlike anything in the Coalition database. Dowan, are you seeing this? Yuna whispered. I see it. What is it? I do not know. But it is not Shorn. It is not Velic. It is not any species we know. Yuna looked up from her screen, her eyes wide. Someone else destroyed that colony ship. Someone the galaxy has never seen before. Behind them, the Velic patrol ship was still watching. Ahead of them, the particle trail disappeared into the darkness between stars. Yuna had found her evidence. Now she needed to make the galaxy believe her. But first, she had to survive the next 25 minutes. Yuna returned to Horizon's Edge with her evidence, but the galaxy did not want to listen. The Velic dismissed her findings as human tricks. The Shorn were grateful for any defense, but they did not trust it either. Why would a young species like humanity help them? There had to be a hidden reason, a secret plan. Director Taiho Lim met Yuna at the docking bay. His face was gray with exhaustion. The war begins in 12 hours, he said. Both sides have finished mobilizing their fleets. The first shots will be fired at midnight station time. Did you send my evidence to the Coalition Council? Yuna asked. I did. They rejected it. Taiho shook his head. The Velic say your particle analysis is flawed. The Shorn say it proves their innocence, but no one else agrees. The other species are too afraid to take sides. Everyone is just waiting for the end. Yuna felt despair rising in her chest. She had found the truth. She had proof that someone else was responsible. But none of it mattered if no one would believe her. There has to be something we can do, she said. Like what? Storm into both fleet commands and force them to listen. Even if you got past their security, they would not change their minds. They have been waiting for this war for thousands of years. Some part of them wants it. Yuna thought about those words. Some part of them wants it. Was that true? Did the Velic and Shorn hate each other so much that they would rather fight than accept evidence of a different enemy? Maybe, but Yuna refused to give up. I need to speak to both sides, she said. Face to face. At the same time, Taiho stared at her. That is impossible. The Velic and Shorn leaders will not be in the same room together. They would kill each other before saying hello. Then we make it impossible for them to kill each other. We hold the meeting here on Horizon's Edge, neutral territory, with security measures to prevent violence. Yuna's mind was racing now, putting the pieces together. I will send an open broadcast to both fleets, requesting a joint investigation. I will make it public. The whole galaxy will see. That would violate about 40 diplomatic protocols, Taiho said. I know. You would be arrested, tried for interference in sovereign affairs. Your career would be destroyed. I know. And even if you did all that, there is no guarantee either side would agree to come. Yuna looked at him with steady eyes. But there is a chance. A small chance. And right now, a small chance is better than no chance at all. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, a small smile appeared on his tired face. You humans really do not know when to give up, do you? No, Yuna said. We do not. 1 hour later, Yuna stood in front of a camera in the station's main broadcast center. Her message would go out to every ship, every station, every planet in the coalition. Billions of beings would hear her words. The thought was terrifying. Do-hwan stood beside her, along with 2 other humans she had recruited. Ji-woo-han was a young engineer with messy hair and bright eyes. He had helped Yuna analyze the particle data and believed completely in her theory. Yoon-ji-beek was a communication specialist, an older woman with a calm voice and steady hands. She would manage the broadcast technology. Are you ready? Yoon-ji asked. Yuna took a deep breath. No, but let us do it anyway. The red light on the camera turned on. Yuna was live. My name is Yuna Park. I am a human diplomat, and I am speaking to everyone in the coalition. In 11 hours, the Velic Dominion and the Shorn Empire will go to war. Billions will die. The coalition will collapse. And it will all be based on a lie. She paused to let her words sink in. I have evidence that the Velic colony ship was not destroyed by the Shorn. The weapon signature does not match Shorn technology. The attack trajectory proves the weapon was fired from a fixed position in space, not from a moving ship. And most importantly, I found particle traces at the attack site that belong to no known species in our galaxy. Yuna held up a data chip. This chip contains all my evidence. I am willing to share it with anyone who wants to see it. But sharing is not enough. We need a proper investigation, conducted by both sides, with both sides agreeing on the results. She looked directly into the camera. I am formally requesting that representatives from the Velic Dominion and the Shorn Empire meet here on Horizon's Edge. I am requesting that they examine my evidence, together. And I am requesting that they wait to start their war until we know the truth. I know this is unusual. I know I am breaking protocols. I know that a young species like humanity has no right to make such demands. But I am not demanding. I am asking the elder species of this galaxy to remember why they formed the coalition in the first place. It was not to make war easier. It was to prevent war. It was to give different species a way to solve their problems without violence. That dream is dying. In 11 hours, it will be dead. But we can still save it if both sides are willing to try. Yuna lowered the data chip. I will be waiting in Conference Room Alpha. I hope I will not be waiting alone. The broadcast ended. Yoonji turned off the camera. The room was silent. Well, Do-hwan said, either you just saved the galaxy, or you just made things much worse. Probably both, Yuna admitted. The next few hours were agony. Yuna waited in Conference Room Alpha, watching the clock count down to midnight. Taiho had arranged security measures, just in case anyone actually showed up. Armed guards stood at every entrance. Weapon scanners blocked the doors. But it all seemed pointless. No one was coming. Then, with 6 hours remaining until war, something unexpected happened. A message arrived from the Shorn Empire. It was from their leader, an ancient being called Scale Mother Veth. The message was simple. The Shorn are innocent. We have nothing to hide. We will attend the humans' meeting. Yuna felt a spark of hope. One side had agreed. Now she needed the other. But the Velic remained silent. Hours passed. The clock continued counting down. 5 hours. 4 hours. 3 hours. With 2 hours remaining, the Velic finally responded. High-voiced Trill will attend the meeting. But if this is a trick, if this is Shorn deception, we will destroy your station and everyone on it. Yuna did not care about the threat. She only cared about one thing. They were coming. Scale Mother Veth arrived first. She was larger than Yuna had expected, a massive reptilian creature with scales that shimmered like metal. Her eyes were old and cold and filled with thousands of years of memories. She looked at Yuna like a person might look at an insect. "You are the human who sent the broadcast," Beth said. Her voice was deep and rumbling. "I am. Thank you for coming. I did not come because of your broadcast. I came because my people are innocent, and I will prove it to the galaxy." Beth moved to one side of the conference table and sat down. "Where's the Velic?" As if in answer, the door opened again. High-voiced Trill entered the room. The Velic commander was even more terrifying in person than through a communication screen. Trill stood on 6 legs, with a body covered in hard black shell. Multiple arms ended in claws that looked sharp enough to cut through metal. Compound eyes studied everything at once. When Trill saw Veth, those eyes focused with intense hatred. "Shorn murderer," Trill said. "Velic fool," Veth replied. Both of them began to rise, claws and teeth ready for battle. Yuna stepped between them, a small human body looking absurd next to the 2 giant aliens. "Stop," she said. "You agreed to come here. You agreed to look at the evidence. At least do that before you kill each other." Trill and Veth stared at her. Yuna felt like a mouse standing between 2 hungry cats. But she did not move. She did not show fear. "Very well, human," Trill said finally. "Show us your evidence. But if it is worthless, I will tear you apart first." "That seems fair," Yuna said. "Please, sit down. We have a lot to discuss and not much time." The 2 ancient enemies sat down on opposite sides of the table. Jiwoo activated the display screens. Dohwan and Yoonji stood ready in case of violence. And Yuna began to present her case. The next hour would decide the fate of the galaxy. 1 human, 2 ancient enemies, and a truth that no one wanted to hear. But Yuna was not afraid. She had come too far to be afraid now. Yuna showed them everything. The debris patterns, the energy signatures, the particle traces that matched no known species. She spoke clearly and simply, making sure both the Velic and Shorn could understand. When she finished, Scale Mother Veth was the first to speak. "This is interesting," the Shorn leader said. "But where did these particles come from? Where is the enemy you say attacked us?" "I do not know yet," Yuna admitted. "The particle trail leads into unexplored space, a region called the Hollow Reach." Both aliens went very still when they heard that name. Yuna noticed their reaction immediately. "You know this place?" High-voiced Trill made a clicking sound that the translator identified as discomfort. "The Hollow Reach is forbidden. Our ancestors placed that region off-limits thousands of years ago. No Velic ship has traveled there in living memory. The same is true for the Shorn," Veth added. "It is ancient law. We do not go there." "Why?" Yuna asked. "What is in the Hollow Reach that makes it forbidden?" The 2 aliens looked at each other. For a moment, their hatred was replaced by something else. Confusion, uncertainty. "We do not know," Trill admitted. "The law is older than our records, older than our oldest memories. We simply do not go there." Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. Here were 2 species that had been traveling through space for over 10,000 years. They had explored millions of star systems. They had conquered and colonized countless worlds. But there was one region of space they would not enter, and they could not remember why. "Someone wants you to stay away," Yuna said quietly. "Someone made you forget the reason. And I think that same someone destroyed the colony ship." Jiwoo stepped forward, his datapad in hand. "I analyzed the particle composition more carefully while you were talking. The elements match readings from surveys done at the edge of the Hollow Reach. These particles came from there. I am certain of it." "Then we must go there," Veth said. "We must find these hidden enemies and make them pay for what they did to the Velic ship." For once, the Shorn speaks wisely, Trill agreed. If there is a true enemy hiding in the Hollow Reach, we must find them and destroy them. Una shook her head. We cannot go charging in with war fleets. We do not know what is out there. We do not know how powerful they are. If they could destroy a Velic colony ship without anyone seeing, they might be able to destroy much more. Then, what do you suggest, human? Trill asked. A small ship. A joint crew. Velic, Shorn, and human, working together. We go to the Hollow Reach, we find out what is there, and we bring back proof that the whole galaxy can see. Trill and Veth looked at each other again. The hatred was still there, but now it was mixed with something new, curiosity, and perhaps just a tiny bit of hope. If this is a trap, Veth began. Then we all die together, Una said. But at least we will die knowing the truth. The journey to the Hollow Reach took 3 days. Una traveled on a Velic ship, along with Dohwan, Jiwoo, and Yunji. Trill commanded the vessel, while Veth and a small group of Shorn warriors joined them as passengers. It was a tense arrangement. The Velic crew hated having Shorn on their ship. The Shorn hated being there. Only the humans moved freely between both groups, talking and listening and trying to keep the peace. On the second day, Una found herself sitting with Scale Mother Veth in the ship's observation room. The ancient Shorn was watching the stars pass by, her metal-bright eyes lost in memory. You are strange creatures. You humans, Veth said without looking at Una. You have been in space for only 200 years, but you act as if you belong here. As if you have the right to question species that have been among the stars for ages. Maybe that is why we can help, Una said. We are not weighed down by old hatreds. We can see things that older eyes might miss. Veth made a sound that might have been a laugh. Old hatreds. Do you know why we hate the Velic? I know there was a war. 4,000 years ago. Yes, a terrible war. Billions died on both sides. Entire planets were burned. The galaxy almost ended. Veth turned to look at Una. And do you know what started that war? No, neither do I. Veth's voice was quiet. I am over 6,000 years old, human. I was alive when that war was fought. I led armies against the Velic. I watched my children die in battle. And I cannot remember why it started. The reason is just gone, like a dream that fades when you wake up. Una felt cold. Someone made you forget. Perhaps. Or perhaps we chose to forget, because the truth was too terrible to remember. Veth looked back at the stars. I have hated the Velic for so long that the hatred feels like part of me. But hatred without reason is just madness, and I am tired of being mad. On the third day, they reached the Hollow Reach. The region of space looked empty at first. Just darkness and distant stars, like any other part of the galaxy. But as they traveled deeper, Una noticed something strange. The stars were arranged differently here. They formed patterns that looked almost artificial, almost designed. The stars have been moved, Jiwoo said, staring at his instruments in disbelief. Someone took entire stars and put them in new positions. That is impossible. The energy required would be more than any civilization could produce. Apparently not any civilization, Dohwan said grimly. Then they found the station. It was huge beyond imagination. A structure floating in space that made their ship look like a grain of sand next to a mountain. It was made of materials that their sensors could not identify, built in shapes that hurt the eyes to look at. It was old. So old that the universe itself seemed young in comparison, and it was not empty. As they approached, a transmission came through their communication system. The voice that spoke was neither Velic nor Shorn nor human. It was something else entirely. Something ancient. You have found us at last, the voice said. We wondered how long it would take. Trill responded. her voice tight with fear and anger. "Who are you? Did you destroy our colony ship?" "We are the remnant," the voice answered. "We are what remains of the first ones, the original children of this galaxy. And yes, we destroyed your ship, just as we have destroyed thousands of others over the millennia." "Why?" Una shouted. "Why would you do this?" "Because war is useful," the remnant said. "Because divided species are controllable species. Because a united galaxy would eventually become a threat to us. We have been managing your conflicts for longer than your civilizations have existed. We started the war between the Velic and Shorn 4,000 years ago. We have started 100 other wars since then, and we will continue until the end of time." The transmission ended. Una looked around at the others. Velic, Shorn, and human, all staring at each other with the same expression of shock and horror that they had found the truth. The enemy behind all enemies. The hidden hand that had been moving pieces across the galaxy like a game board. Now they had to decide what to do about it. And they had to decide fast. Because on the station ahead of them, lights were beginning to turn on. Weapon systems were powering up. The remnant were done talking. The hunt had begun. The remnant station came alive with terrible light. Energy weapons powered up along its surface, each one large enough to destroy a planet. The Velic ship, which had seemed so mighty before, now looked like a toy floating before a god. "We need to run," Trill said, her claws moving frantically across the control panel. "We cannot fight this." "Running will not help," Veth replied. Her voice was calm, but her scales had gone pale. "If they can move stars, they can certainly catch one small ship." Una watched the station growing closer. Her mind was racing, searching for answers. The remnant had admitted to destroying the colony ship. They had admitted to starting wars for thousands of years. They were ancient and powerful beyond imagination. But they had also made a mistake. "They answered us," Una said suddenly. Everyone looked at her. "They answered our transmission. They explained themselves. They told us their plan." Una stood up. "Why would they do that if they were just going to kill us?" Dohwan shook his head. "Maybe they enjoy talking before they murder people. Some predators play with their prey. No, it is more than that." Una walked toward the communication panel. "Think about it. They have been hiding for thousands of years. They could have stayed hidden. They could have just destroyed us without a word. But instead, they revealed themselves. They explained everything. They wanted us to know." "What are you saying?" Trill demanded. "I am saying that the remnant wants something from us. Something more than just our deaths." Una activated the communication system, and I am going to find out what it is. The others watched in shocked silence as Una opened a channel to the massive station. "This is Ambassador Una Park. I want to speak with the remnant directly, face to face." For a long moment, there was no response. The weapons on the station continued to glow with deadly energy. Then the ancient voice came through the speakers again. "You are brave for a creature so young. Or perhaps you are simply ignorant of the danger you face." "I know the danger," Una said. "But I also know that you have not killed us yet. If you just wanted us dead, we would already be dust. So, what do you really want?" Another pause. Then, impossibly, the weapons began to power down. "Come to the station, human. Come alone. Let us see what makes your species so interesting." Una turned to the others. "I am going." "Absolutely not," Dohwan said. "That is suicide? Maybe. Or maybe it is our only chance." Una looked at each of them in turn. "I need you to stay here. Record everything that happens. If I do not come back, take the recording to the Coalition. Show everyone the truth." Veth moved forward, her massive body blocking the door. "I cannot allow this." If you die, the truth dies with you. The truth is already recorded in your ship's systems. You have proof of the remnant. You know the Shorn did not destroy the colony ship. That is enough to stop the war. Yuna met the ancient creature's eyes. Please, let me try. Veth stared at her for a long time. Then, slowly, she stepped aside. Humans, she said quietly. You truly do not know when to stop. No, Yuna agreed. We do not. The shuttle ride to the station took only minutes, but it felt like hours. Yuna sat alone in the small craft, watching the impossible structure grow larger and larger. By the time she docked, she could no longer see the edges of it. It stretched beyond her vision in every direction. A door opened in the station's hull. Yuna stepped through and found herself in a corridor made of light. The walls glowed with soft colors that shifted and changed. The floor felt solid beneath her feet, but looked like nothing at all. She walked forward, and the remnant came to meet her. They were not what she expected. She had imagined monsters or machines or beings of pure energy. Instead, the remnant looked almost human. They were tall and thin, with skin like polished stone and eyes like deep pools of water. They moved with a grace that made Yuna feel clumsy and young. One of them stepped forward. Its face showed no emotion, but its voice was the same ancient voice from the transmissions. You asked what we want, human. The answer is simple. We want to survive. Yuna frowned. Survive? You control the most powerful technology in the galaxy. You move stars. You start wars. What could possibly threaten you? Time, the remnant said. We are the last of the first ones. Once, we numbered in the billions. Now, we are only thousands. Once, we built wonders that made the universe sing. Now, we can barely maintain the machines our ancestors left behind. The creature gestured at the walls around them. This station is the last of our great works, and it is dying. Slowly, but certainly. We have kept it running for 1,000,000 years, but we cannot keep it running forever. Then why not ask for help? Yuna demanded. The younger species have energy and creativity. If you had shared your knowledge instead of manipulating us, we could have worked together, because you would have grown too strong. The remnant's voice carried a hint of something that might have been fear. The younger species multiply like insects. You build and expand and consume. In another 1,000 years, you would outnumber us 1,000,000 to 1. In another 10,000, you would not need us at all. You would take our technology and throw us aside like old tools. So you kept us divided, Yuna said. You kept us fighting each other so we would never become a threat to you. Yes, it was logical, efficient. It worked for longer than your species has existed. The remnant paused. But it is not working anymore. The wars are becoming harder to start. Species are learning to talk instead of fight. The coalition grows stronger every decade. Soon, we will not be able to control events. And when that happens, we will have nothing left to bargain with. Nothing to keep us alive. Yuna understood now. The remnant were not conquerors or destroyers. They were survivors, desperately trying to stay alive in a universe that was leaving them behind. You are afraid of us, she said quietly. The remnant did not deny it. Let me tell you something about humans, Yuna continued. We are a young species. We have been in space for only 200 years. We do not have your power or your knowledge. But we have one thing that you seem to have lost. What is that? Hope. Yuna stepped closer to the ancient being. We do not look at the future and see enemies. We see possibilities. We see partners. We see a galaxy where different species can work together instead of destroying each other. Pretty words. But words do not change reality. Yes, they do. Yuna's voice was firm. Words started wars. Words can end them. Words can build bridges between enemies. And words can offer a dying civilization a chance to live again. The remnant stared at her with those deep, ancient eyes. What are you proposing? Join us? Not as controllers, but as partners. Share your knowledge. Teach us what you know. Let us help maintain your technology. Una spread her hands. The galaxy does not have to be a battlefield. It can be a community. And every community has room for elders. For teachers. For the ones who remember the old ways. You would trust us? After everything we have done? Trust has to start somewhere. Una smiled. Consider this the first step. For a long moment, the remnant was silent. Una could almost see the thoughts moving behind those ageless eyes. Thousands of years of fear and control. The slow acceptance that the old ways were ending. The desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, there was another path. You ask the impossible, the remnant said finally. You ask us to change everything we have been for 1,000,000 years. I know, Una said. But impossible things happen every day. That is what makes life worth living. The remnant looked at her for another long moment. Then slowly it nodded. We will consider your offer. We will meet with the coalition. We will talk. A pause. But understand this, human. If your species betrays us, if you try to take our knowledge by force, we will burn your worlds to ash. Even dying, we are still dangerous. I understand. But I do not think it will come to that. Una offered her hand, the human gesture of friendship. My name is Una. What is yours? The remnant looked at her hand for a moment, as if trying to remember what the gesture meant. Then, slowly, it reached out and touched her fingers with its own. We have forgotten our names, it said quietly. It has been so long since anyone asked. Then we will find new ones, Una said. Together. 3 months later, the galaxy was different. The war between the Velic and Shorn never happened. The evidence of remnant manipulation was broadcast to every world. Old hatreds did not disappear overnight, but for the first time in millennia, former enemies began to talk instead of fight. The remnant opened their station to visitors. Slowly, carefully, they began to share their knowledge. Scientists from 100 species came to learn. And the remnant learned too, remembering what it was like to be curious, to be hopeful, to be alive. Una Park faced a tribunal for her unauthorized actions. She was stripped of her diplomatic credentials and officially censured. But she was also quietly awarded the highest civilian honor humanity could give. Director Taiho Lim presented it to her himself. You broke every rule we have, he said. You disobeyed direct orders. You risked an interstellar incident. You could have gotten billions of people killed. I know, Una said. And you saved the galaxy. Taiho smiled. How did you know it would work? How did you know the remnant would listen? Una thought about the question. She remembered standing alone on that ancient station, facing beings older than human civilization.